Good evening, good evening, and thank you for tuning in to tonight's episode of A Pound of Perseverance. I am Tamika Chapman,
And I am Kaisha Ellis.
and we
I
are
am
your
Troy Carroll.
hosts.
We are
Our guest,
Perseverance.
yes. And you know our motto, keep going no matter what. That's
Right.
what perseverance is. Perseverance is all about keep going through your obstacles, whether you're going to find a way around it, above it, or bust it down and walk right through it by force, right? That's what perseverance is. Perseverance is keep going no matter what the end is, even when you don't know what it is, even when there's a delay in it. You keep going because you have something greater within you that you're trying to get to. You're striving for greatness. And so our show is all about motivating you and encouraging you to keep going no matter what. Um, Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. We love your engagement. So along the show, please feel free to comment, ask any questions as they come up. We'll make sure that we come back to answer them, as well as Troy. Troy will be here to answer your questions. We'll make sure that we tag him in those questions to make sure that he comes back and gives you a great response to whatever it is that's on your mind. So again, thank you for tuning in with us tonight. So Kaisha's going to give us ways to keep in contact with us and kind of a recap of our last show.
Okay, ladies, you can find us as usual on Instagram at Pop Live Talk Show. Our Twitter handle is Pop Live Talk Show. That's SHO and the number 1. And you can find us on YouTube at A Pound of Perseverance. And of course, you can find us on Facebook at A Pound of Perseverance.
Yes.
So our show is all about relationships tonight. The good, the bad, and the ugly parts of it.
Yes.
So our word of the day is relationships. So the quote that I found was the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, or the state of being connected. The state of being connected by blood or marriage, or the way in which two or more people or groups regard and behave towards each other. So our quote to go with that on relationships is, a great relationship doesn't just happen because of the love you had in the beginning, but how well you continue building love until the end. And I found that quote on Pinterest, that the love bits.
I love that. Can you read that one more time, that quote?
Sure, of course I can. A great relationship doesn't just happen because of the love you had in the beginning, but how well you continue building love until the end.
I love that. I love it. It is, right? We're definitely going to post that on the page so you all can comment on that as well after our episode. So yeah, relationships. For one thing, relationships to me is all about two people, not about titles. Kaisha, you and I were talking the other day, yesterday, and I was telling you that I always tell people, remove the title. Remove the title, whether it's your parent, your mom, dad, your sister, brother, your friend, your boss, whoever. Remove that title. People are people first. So you have to know who you are, respect who you are, respect other people for what they represent as the person that they show up as, right? So yeah, for me, you have to know who that person is before you can be in a relationship with them. Because if you're just in a relationship with a title, you're not in a relationship. Like, that's not a relationship to me. So, I'm not saying disrespect your mom and your daddy. I'm saying that you have to understand their way of thinking as a person and not say, oh, it's okay, that's just mom, that's just the way she is. No, you have to understand, why does she think that way? Why does she act the way that she acts? So when you remove that title of mom, you can get to who the person is and understand who they are so that you can have a better relationship in that aspect. You can understand them better and talk better to them and, have a better communication with them by understanding who they are. What do y'all think about relationships in general?
Well, I would just like to add to that, Tamika. So our episode is on relationships, more romantic type, but relationships is about how you relate to people, period.
Yes.
So I completely agree with you in what you're saying. When you strip away all the titles, who are you relating to? You're just talking to a person. It's a person that you're dealing with. And you have to learn how to conduct yourself. You have to learn how to treat people. Let people show you how to treat them. So
Absolutely.
I just wanted to add that. I think that's really, really important in relationships. And I think a lot of us forget that.
I'm going to piggyback off of that as well,
Yeah.
because I think it kind of starts at the core, meaning that the relationship with self comes first. It's kind of hard to relate to someone else. How to relate to who you are.
Yes.
So
This is why we have you on the show, Troy.
title.
This is why we have you on the show.
We talk about stripping off titles. One of the things that I do in any kind of life coaching or relationship coaching is I ask people, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Not who you think you are,
Yeah.
not who society has labeled you to be, not the core identity that your parents have taught you or your peers or the environment has taught you. It is, if I strip away mother, sister, brother, son, boyfriend, girlfriend, man, husband, wife, if I strip that away from you, who are you really? And how do you identify with that person? And how does that person identify with other people?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Knowing who you are, right? Knowing of self. I love that. So true. So true.
So
what
before
we doing?
jump into, sorry, Tamika, before we jump into the meat and potatoes of our episode, I just wanted to quickly go over our announcements. So we have our masterclass coming up. Ladies, please check out our page for the details and sign up. We'd love to have you participate. So we are going to be teaching you how to start your own international talk show. This is about sharing what you know. We are here to share what we know, and this is what we're doing. So I encourage you, please follow us on our page and get the information and sign up. We also have our Christmas giveaway on December 16th to December 21st. Woohoo! This is a great big basket of stuff we got for you that Tamika refuses to let me take for myself. So please sign up and take it because I'm not allowed to have it. And I would love to give it to you. Also, ladies, I have a group on Facebook called The Goddess Within, and I just want to thank you. I'll be always forever thanking you for joining. Every day I check the group and there's always new members. Thank you so much. This group is for women that have embraced their personal spirituality and want to learn how to use it in practical ways. And for me, practical ways is become the best version of yourself, create your dreams, find balance, inner peace, create from a space of love and abundance, and just be happy. That's my practical. I created this group because I wanted to empower women and teach them how to help themselves through community. I want you to know what it's like and what it means to be an empath, a mother, an entrepreneur, and a woman who knows her purpose. And as a soul creating a human experience, if you're looking for an inclusive space, you are welcome here. This space is for you to be your authentic self. Your uniqueness is welcome here. You are encouraged to share your passions, purpose, talents, knowledge, gifts, natural abilities with those around you. This group is for you. So please check it out. Join if you want. It's on Facebook. Light Group presents The Goddess Within.
Love it. Love it.
And of course, I'm going to, we have our YouTube channel up and running, so please subscribe. It is on YouTube at A Pound of Perseverance. So with that being said, I am very excited to jump into this episode with Troy Carroll. So Troy, with over 20 years in the performance improvement industry, Troy, I'm sorry, let me just get my notes up properly. Troy turned skills earned in the corporate workspace to also helping those in the personal life space. He realized that a large part of being the best version of yourself or creating success in your life required you to unpack your bag, find, define, and refine the who in you. Oh, I love that. Discover your passion and purpose, and then applying that knowledge to life. Contact center management, training, presentation facilitation, organizational behavior improvement, each skill distilled, modified, and honed to serve. Oh, that's awesome. Using a hybrid style of strategic life coaching combined with tactical motivational speaking to effectively help his clients navigate the sometimes choppy waters of life and careers. Troy found not just passion, but his purpose in helping others help themselves.
Yes.
Language. Personal professional success is an inside job with outside results. Lovely. And it's about persistence, not perfection. So this is Mr. Troy Carroll, who we have invited to be a guest on our show to get a man's perspective on relationships. Because yes, we as women being in relationships, we think we know men, what men are, but like they're completely different. I don't understand them, but that's a different episode together. But as much as we think we know men because we've been with one man, it's good to get a perspective from a man, you know, and how they think and feel and all of that good stuff. So Troy, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Honor to have you. Okay, so let's get into these questions. Troy, no. First, I want to back up. So I was on Instagram. Someone had sent me a video. I don't know if you're familiar with this man named Derek Jackson. He's like a relationship coach, and he has a lot of videos. It's really great insights from a man's point of view.
Okay.
And he was responding to a video that a man had put up about his role. Did you see that? His role in the household, and he was all like, I'm a provider, and my wife has never paid a mortgage bill, and she doesn't pay bills, and she's not supposed to pay anything, and that it's a privilege to have a family. And I was like, well, damn. And me, I never grew up with my father in my household, so me seeing that, I was like, is that really how it's supposed to be? Because that's not. You know,
it could be.
Is it old school? He's clearly an old school dude.
I was just talking to Tamika about this. Okay, so
yeah,
old school, old fashioned men. We have to remember about that. During that time period when that behavior was constructed, women were seen as property. So we have to be very careful. That's a very slippery slope. I'm not saying that a man doesn't have a purpose and a role. The same thing with a woman, but it is not to be a princess. I call it the princess paradigm. Okay. A lot of times we are disabling our young girls by teaching them to be taken care of in a purpose, right? So one of the posts that I put up was, you don't serve a man, you serve a purpose. You don't refer to a purpose. So when two people come together, they are sharing a purpose. Not just a household, not just a contractual obligation to be with one another, but a purpose that is bigger than just them individually.
Okay.
Yes.
So old fashioned, that's great. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. What I'm saying is you cannot be codependent and independent at the same time.
Yes.
Right?
Hey, spoke a word.
I'm telling you.
The thing about the value of time. And here's a story. I was telling this to Tamika earlier. When I was single, I was on Black People Meet, if you have heard that old website. And it's a dating website, and I was dating everyone I could. I'm like, oh, she's beautiful. I'm gonna date her. I'm gonna take her out. And I started to realize that my bank account was getting pretty empty.
Oh, that kind of expensive, right?
And I'm not cheap. But what I realized was that I wasn't placing any value on my time. I was placing all of my value on their time. Now, here's the thing about relationships. They require reciprocity. But before you get there, they require a foundation, right? Yeah. So if I don't know you, why would I spend money on you yet? Give me the time to know you. Because here's the thing. As a man, we are physical creatures. What we see is what we like.
Yes.
Often, over time, that seems fades because what's new becomes old. Right? If I don't know you as a person, then that shine on that penny can't be renewed. So we have to take the time and make the time instead of excuses to get to know a person instead of back on the old-fashioned way of doing things, because we can't get to, I'm a provider, because I'm a provider. Please don't misunderstand. I provide within my purpose, so I provide structure that has been helped fortified by my queen. Right?
There you go.
Head and neck. It doesn't mean that she doesn't pay a bill, because we all have a purpose together. Of course she helps to pay a bill. She wants us to be more successful. She doesn't want to go buy a pair of red bottoms while I'm paying the electric bill. right? So I make twice the amount, but at the end of the day, I still split that money up. There is not it's my money, it's our money, because we have a purpose.
There you go.
So when that
Yeah.
old fashioned man says, my wife doesn't do this, my wife doesn't do that, I don't know what his wife is doing. I can't. I don't. I'm just being honest, right? If you don't do anything all day, and so let's reverse it just for a second. I'm your man. I'm home all day. I don't do anything. I clean, right? I wash. I maybe cook a meal. But what do I have to talk about? Dust bunnies?
That's true. That is so true.
Yeah.
Look how I folded this. You see that? I just washed. So if you're interested in a man who, and he's interested in a woman who, then that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to find someone who matches you. That's part of being evenly.
Yeah.
You got to find someone that matches that energy. But it's a bad expectation and unreasonable to expect every man to be. That's not how a man is supposed to be. Or relationships, unless that's the man that you want to be with and he wants to be with you. But the average man should be looking for someone who's going to be reciprocal and that purpose, so that you can both achieve whatever greatness you have in store for you.
There you go. There you go. Something that you just said made me feel that to say that when if it was that situation where the wife was at home and did nothing but clean the house all day, and the man went out and, he had a chance to speak to other people and be around his coworkers and everything else, because you don't have anything to really talk about, there seems to be a disconnect there. And once you have a disconnect, it opens and it creates a wedge to allow other things, people, and places to come in between you that you probably didn't want. But because this woman is not helping in that purpose and not really living a purpose at all, but to clean a house and to cook and to just be there and do whatever your bidding is, I think that there comes a disconnect right there. So again, I'm not knocking old school either, but I wasn't raised to say, oh, a man gonna take care of you. No, my dad told me, he said, you don't depend on a man for nothing. If you need something, you come to your daddy. If you can't get it on your own, you come to your dad.
Exactly. Right.
And so for me, it's always been that way. I've never went out seeking, okay, I'm going to find a guy that's going to take care of me. I'm going to find a guy that I don't have to work and do this and do that. I mean, for me, my husband and I, we've been married for almost 21 years. And so it's never been, okay, you go out and you're going to do it on your own. No, I want to work and I want to contribute to us just doing our thing and being great and living great and having fun and living life, I don't want to just sit at home and do nothing all day. That's boring.
I'm going to ask a controversial question.
Right? Yeah.
It is not for you two ladies unless it applies, but for our audience, how many of our female audience have a secret account separately for themselves?
You better.
And I'll tell you why I say that. Okay? One of the things that I don't do is I do not prescribe to the concept that we're going to fail, so I need to have a secret account. Okay? Because what we don't realize is that intent helps to poison our potential.
Yes.
So let's just turn the paradigm around just for a second. If you found out that your significant other was squirreling away money that you didn't know about, it would not be looked at as kindly. You okay?
I never thought about it like that. Like I said, I never grew up with a father in the household, right? So it was always, you need to make sure that you have it yourself, and you need to learn how to be independent and self-sufficient and self-reliant. Okay. So for me, it was automatic that regardless if I'm in a relationship or not, I'm going to have something put away because I have children and I need to make sure that I'm good regardless if you're there or not. So that is my mentality and perspective on that whole thing. But I never looked at it like that. But are you saying if you have an account on the side that you are preparing for the worst? Correct.
So you know that the adage, save for a rainy day?
Yes.
I think it's a terrible way of thinking of things.
You know what? I agree with you. I don't have an emergency account. I have a good days account.
Yes.
Yes.
So like my wife has her own account.
Mm-hmm.
right? But she can see my account, I can see her account. We're all one big list of accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have a joint savings, but we have separate spending accounts.
Yes.
So
Yes.
she has her
Yes.
money to spend. I don't really spend money, but that doesn't matter, right? Like her money is for her to spend however she wants to spend it outside of our purpose. I have to go back to our purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So again, if you don't have a purpose individually and collectively, then you're doing something wrong.
You're doing
You
something.
There
got to
you go.
reevaluate, right? So that there's no need for that secret account just in case things go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship isn't a strong relationship.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
it
true.
goes back to not just our intent, but the actions that follow that, because those are vehicles for an end result.
Mm-hmm.
So if I am squirreling away money just in case things don't work out, I gotta take care of me. Guess what's gonna happen? At some point, you got to take care of you. Now, I'm not saying
Yeah.
there aren't other factors that apply to that. What I'm saying is we've been taught that. We don't even question it anymore. Who packed that bag for you? Here's a question for you. Would you ask a perfect stranger to pack your bag to go to Hawaii?
No.
No. Where'd that information knowledge come from? I'm not saying they were bad parents or bad grandparents, but who taught them that? And who taught that person that? Somebody that got hurt. Oh, you got to take care of your girl.
Yep.
You gotta take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Then make sure you got your little stuff to the side just in case things go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's wrong all the time. What I'm saying is that we have to question that information and that mentality, because those are core behaviors that can possibly contribute to the downfall of a relationship in the first place. It's a lot easier to say,
Yes.
I don't need you, when you don't need anybody. All right? I'm good by myself. You were good by yourself in the first place. But because you got a safety net, your behavior changes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yes.
about not saving money. I'm saying we have to think about the intent of why we're doing things in relation to a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everything
Absolutely.
But Troy, with that, you have to have a foundation of trust to do something.
Yes.
The way how you and your wife, your dynamic
Yes.
is, you have to wholeheartedly trust who you're with, that you're not going to take off on me.
Yes. Yes. But why would you enter a relationship with someone you didn't trust?
There you go. If there's a shadow of a doubt of you may not do the right thing, or you may not do the right thing in the future, there's something that needs to be talked about. There's a red flag there that needs to be discussed before you enter into a committed relationship, whether that's just boyfriend, girlfriend, going into fiance, into marriage. You can't go into marriage with any kind of doubts. I can tell you that. Yes, indeed.
So what about situations where the relationship is great and then someone betrays someone's trust?
Well,
and then you want to work through it.
Okay.
So should you start your account then or no?
Some bonds, some stocks. All right. So here's the thing. We're all human. We all make mistakes. When we start trying to judge, right, that pendulum, to say, well, you did something I didn't like, because betrayal, again, is a slippery slope. When we say betrayal, what do we mean? What are our limitations? What is a no zone? Like, this is it for me. And if I decide to come back, am I giving you my trust again? Because here's the thing, it's not just earned, it is given.
Yeah.
It is a two-way street, and it will never properly work. And I have to place emphasis on that word. It will never properly work if it is not both earned and given. It can't be, well, I'm gonna sit back and wait. Right? I'm gonna wait and see if you mess up.
Again and again.
Right?
Right? Oh boy, and it's hard because women are like that. Well, men and women are like that.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
It comes down to who you are as a person.
Yes, if you did, but most of us, and this is a general broad statement, so please take it with a grain of salt. Most of us don't know who we are. So how am I going to properly, reasonably judge your actions when I don't even understand mine? I can give you a very good example, right?
Oh boy.
Let's say that you get this inkling that your significant other is cheating on you. Okay? So you start trying to go through their phone. You start having them followed, or you follow them places, show up at their job unexpectedly. The entire time that you're doing that, you find nothing. But what has happened to your behavior? Are you now held accountable for that? Who are you? Who are you to do that? Are you being the best version of you while holding that person to be accountable? I'm going to say no. What we have to do is stop blaming other people for our poor behavior. And if it doesn't work out, I was still the best me. But if I don't trust me and trust my feelings and my discernment, then I'm never going to trust you. It doesn't make a difference what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people, I'm sorry, go ahead on, Troy, sorry.
Go ahead.
Now, I was just saying that a lot of people don't get to that point before moving forward to being in a relationship with somebody. They don't get to knowing who they are, truly who they are, before joining together. And now you don't know who you are, and you don't know who you are together either, you know? And I think it's really important to get to the bottom of who you are before trying to join somebody else and attaching yourself to somebody else. They're talking about now we're a union. No, you're not a union. Broken.
Right. You done bought a lemon, didn't even know it.
You know?
Mercedes.
It's being in a relationship with yourself first before getting into a relationship with anyone else.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. And how many of us?
It hits on the health and wellness and spirituality. Yeah.
And unfortunately, not many parents know that to push that. I'm not saying none, right? But understanding and unpacking that bag, right? So that the analogy is when you're born, the core of who you are is placed at the bottom of a bag, right? And as you go through life, your parents are putting stuff on top. Like, oh, this is how you should be. This is what you should do. This is how you should love. And then as you go older, your peers start putting stuff in. Oh, home girl, put this in there. Oh, homeboy, put that in there. And then as you get even older, your environment starts packing stuff on top. And where are you? At the very bottom. You didn't even get a chance to look at who you are to figure out what you should be. So when I get into a relationship, I got to unpack and get back to me and say, oh, I remember this person. Do I love this person? Yes, I do. Now I can love and appreciate someone else. Right? Well, in my vows when I got married, one of the things that I said was, unlike Tobey Maguire, you cannot complete me because I was complete before I met you.
Exactly. Yes, I'm a whole person, right?
I'm a whole person.
It's two whole people coming together.
That was my part of my marriage vows. You think, well, why would you say that? Because I wanted to make sure she understood that I was joining with her. She wasn't making me into something. Right? I wasn't a puzzle that she had to fix. Because no one wants to do that, right? No one wants to like broken dolls and piece them together. Because what either two things are going to happen. Once that doll is whole, it's going to leave, or you're going to look for something else to fix.
Absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
You
Remind me of telling how to groove that.
You just got into my next question. So what happens when you get into a relationship, you're all in love and everything's going great, and then you start to experience your inner evolution and start unpacking your bag and discovering who you are? And the clashes come because now they don't recognize this person anymore. How do you grow through that? Or do you just let it go?
I love the way you put that. How do you grow through that as you go through that? Well, first and foremost, the only person you can control, obviously, is you. And that's not even initially. The common misnomer. You don't control yourself until something's already happened. Right? There's no such thing as, oh, I'm in control of myself. I know how I'm going to react. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't. So it's going to circle back. That's going to happen. But I'm going to say something that may be controversial. I only owe fealty to myself. And Everything else is a choice. I choose to be with my,
Yes.
and this is going to ruffle some feathers. I choose to be a father. We know a lot of men who chose not to be.
Yeah.
So we know that it's a
Yes.
choice, right? So when you're with someone,
Absolutely.
you can choose to say, listen, here's where I'm growing. I don't want to leave you behind. I want you to grow with me, but you have to want to grow with me.
Yeah.
Where are we going to grow today?
Yeah.
Not where we're going to go.
Yeah. Where are we going to grow today? Absolutely.
How do we handle that? It is, you have to understand something that I learned a long time ago. When you first start growing, people look at you like you got 5 eyes. One of them is lazy. Like one's like, yeah. You get that look, you start talking, and you see the lights go out. You're like, you're not listening anymore. That happens with our spouses, right? It does, or significant others. It happens.
Yeah.
If you don't expect it to happen, you are deluding yourself.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you are that catalyst that sparks the initiative of another person to also grow.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I will grow on without you.
Hey, I love it.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's my fealty is to myself. Someone called me, I got into this debate. Someone said, you are so self-centered. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I am. Yes, I have to be. It's my responsibility to be that way. You can't center me.
That's right. I am self-centered. But by dint of the fact that my goal is to be the best version of me, the byproduct is the love that I have for others.
Yes, yes,
I am
absolutely.
Yes.
centered on me. So in that relationship,
I love
there's always
that.
an option and a choice, right? You can either have results or consequences. If that person chooses not to also grow, you didn't do them a disservice by potentially leaving. You did them a benefit.
Yeah. Seriously.
You keep jumping into my questions before I get to ask now. My
love
next
this
question was,
conversation.
what are signs when it's time to leave a relationship?
That's a very good question. I think it is going to really differ based on how the relationship was started and the consequences that have happened throughout the relationship. So there could be a myriad of different factors or signs, but we have to understand that sometimes we're going through a transition period. So it's our chrysalis, right? What some moths or butterflies go through.
The caterpillar. Yeah.
Right. So during that time period, it is not time to run. It is to evaluate why you feel that way in the first place. Most of us don't look at ourselves first. We look at others, right? So again, I try to use real world examples. The other day, I was really thinking about a lot of things, and my wife said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, I have a lot on my mind." And she said, "Was it something I did?" I said, "Well, it may have been something you contributed to, but I haven't finished thinking about it yet. I don't want to blame you for something you did not do." Now, what that simply translated to was, I haven't figured it out, but I can't blame you for how I'm feeling. That's wrong. I got to blame me. The onus of responsibility is on me. So before I start looking at my mate for signs, let me look at me and see why there's signs, right?
Yeah.
The best way to not allow someone, and I'll circle back in a second, you understand where I'm going. The best way to ensure that someone can't push your buttons is not necessarily to remove the person. It's to remove the button. So before you start others, you say, oh, these are signs that I should leave. Let's first determine why they are signs to me in the first place. Like, why does that register as a red flag? Is it really a red flag? Fear, right? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid they're going to leave me, so I'm going to leave them in advance? Like, oh, no, I feel this is not going to work out. Wow, what's wrong? You're not paying me enough attention, bro.
But people, even though we're adults in adult relationships, we still do that. You know, I'm going to leave you before you leave me because I don't want you to be telling anyone that you left me. Like,
right.
But that stems back to what is your mindset like? How were you raised?
Yeah.
What did you go through in life to get you to this point, as in you don't want to be left before somebody leaves you? Like, did you experience that in your life? Like, did you see that happening with the adults in your life? Like, somebody got left, and how they reacted and how they acted and reacted once they were left, and you don't want to do that? You don't want to be that way? Like, what made you think that this is the way that you need to be? Like, I think it's all about that mindset thing, regardless if you in a relationship as a boyfriend or you're married. Like, why? You have to change. Your mindset has to change when you come together. You have to have the right mindset that you're going to be in this relationship for the long haul, and you ain't going nowhere. Like I told Kaisha the other day, and I'll tell anybody, a lot of people think I'm joking, but I'm very serious. When I married my husband, now we've been married for almost 21 years, it was to death do us part. And so, no, we're not going anywhere. We're not separating unless he dies.
Okay.
You see her face?
I know, right? You better not die.
Now, Troy, that could be a natural death, or he could end up in the trunk of your car.
That's all she allow him, right? I didn't tell you he could die.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm keeping my vows. How about that?
I told my wife I want her to stuff me if I die. So stuff me and put me in the living room.
Want to be embalmed? Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. No, but I think that, you have to have that mindset when you're going into a relationship, right? You have to go in it for the long haul. It's not for, okay, this is my girlfriend right now. Yeah, I'm going to propose to her. We're going to get married. We're going to have this big dig. We're going to spend all this money that we really don't need to spend. Just to say, okay, 6 months, 7 months, 9 months later, nah, I can't do it no more, dog. I'm out. Like, I'm dealing with this. Like, it was all a waste of time. It was all for a show. So your mindset wasn't even right before you went into it. So I think another thing that a lot of people don't want to do is counseling. Like, marriage counseling is important, especially, I'm not even gonna say especially, but especially for, younger people that are, being in relationships. I think marriage counseling is really important. But then again, if you're older, I think you still need to have that marriage counseling going into it again, because now you've lived a whole life of being on your own, or you may have been divorced from some time ago. You need to get your mindset back right before entering another union with another whole person. So yeah.
What advice would you give people already in relationships in regards to sticking together through the bad times, not just the good times? What do you do when the honeymoon phase is over?
Well, I can start off by saying that having a honeymoon phase in the first place was the part of the problem.
I like the honeymoon phase.
Well, here's my thing. It's temporary, right? It's always temporary. It's a transition period.
It's temporary. Yes.
And I guess that's kind of part of the thing. So it is, what was our intent in the first place? I saw someone put a post up saying, I'm not dating anybody if they're not trying to get married. Well, how did we get there? Like, that was fast. I didn't know your middle name. Right? But that phase has been taught to us.
Yes.
The point that we say it automatically. Think about that just for a second. You know intuitively what it means, but before you didn't. You may have experienced it, but now we buy into it. Why are we investing into a honeymoon phase? We start looking for it. How long is it going to be before you stop opening the door for me? How long is it going to be? And you know what? He's doing the same. There's so many times that women talk about he's not romantic. And what do husbands talk about? I'm not getting any more at home.
There you go.
But it's almost taught behavior.
Yeah.
And we become relaxed in it. So we can avoid the honeymoon phase by not having it in the first place. Now, to your question, once it starts to fade, there's a book out called The Six Secrets of a Lasting Relationship, How to Fall in Love and Stay There. You can always fall. I don't know how many of you have dated someone that you dated in the past and then dated them again, but I have to tell you this very quick story so you understand. Before me and my wife got married, we weren't together. We were apart. We had broken up and done our own thing. And then I chose her and went back and asked her to marry me. So if I can do that, that means that that honeymoon phase doesn't ever have to go away. You just have to understand a person's purpose in your life in the first place, and also understand your purpose. If you're a purposeless person, then we're already putting the cart before the horse in the first place. That honeymoon phase never even needs to be there, but if it is, it's nothing different than blowing on the embers of the fire to make it rage once more. And you can do that by understanding who the person is now, not when you first met them. It is, you know what, I know you've changed. Let me figure out who you are now. Allow me to reintroduce myself.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Yes. This is me now. Yeah. Are you okay with this person now?
Yeah.
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 There's
I
always
love it.
opportunity to learn something new. I promise you that that person is not the same person you married or started dating. Something has changed, but they become white noise. And you have to be able to understand, oh, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, I'm not really looking at you the way I used to. Let me see what's different. And because it's very easy, right? Oh, he didn't notice my new hair. He didn't notice I got my eyebrows done. Well, you didn't notice he trimmed up his mustache.
Notice, okay?
So here's the thing that I realized, especially in relation to honeymoon phases. And please tell me if you disagree, okay?
We will.
I know. All right. Women look at men and say, why don't you know this? You should know this. Someone should have taught you this. You should know how to treat a woman. You should know how to notice these things. You should know how to be romantic, although those are all learned behaviors, but whatever. So you think that a man should think like you. Men know intuitively that we don't understand you at all. Trying to figure it out, like, you know, that doesn't make any sense. That's a hopeless matter.
Oh my God.
So we don't really take the time to understand it. From that perspective, we're completely different creatures. I have to understand you as you are, not as I've learned a man or a woman to be. I have to learn you as you are.
Yeah.
And then determine if those things resonate with me. And then determine, because I love you, I got to accept you for who you are, but I don't have to accept your poor behavior. And if you're not willing to grow, where we going to grow today, if you're not willing to grow, then it doesn't make a difference.
That's true.
I got to understand you as a female, right, who's a creature of spirit and emotion. Love that about women. Absolutely love that. That's one of the wonderful things that you bring to this world. It's so incredibly important. I promise I'm not going on a tangent, but it's just very vital that women understand that they have something that by far and large, 98% of men cannot provide. That's part of the purpose. The same thing goes for a man, all right? We provide that strength and structure. So when you're assuming, well, he should know this, he should act this way, he doesn't feel the same way. He's looking at it completely different than you do. And most often when you talk, he's saying you're complaining. Why are you complaining? I pay the bills. I tell you once in a while that you're pretty. You know you're pretty. I'm still here. But when you know that man has a problem with communicating those feelings, he doesn't. It is, how can we find a way to communicate, which is one of the six pillars of secrets, right? Communication, right? A dialogue, not a debate, not a diatribe. It is also respect, so respecting who you are. Empathy, understanding your feelings, but also understanding that you may have a hard time explaining or expressing those feelings. Men, right? Sometimes we have a hard time expressing feelings because the concept of a man is we got to be strong all the time. If we express it now when you're being loving, But when we express it, now I'm being weak, or you like a woman, and we hear that sometimes. So then we close back up. That will kill the potentiality of
Yeah.
the honeymoon phase could be eternally, right? Because all it is a cycle,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the spin cycle. Like you wash your clothes, and you're like, oh, I put it on spin. For a relationship, is a dial. You got to start it back up. The timer went off, right? Then put it back on and start it again. It doesn't have to end unless you think it's supposed to end. Let's stop investing in that concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the whole part that you talked about communication, because communication is really key in everything. Just, I mean, from the beginning, you have to continue to communicate. And if you don't, there's where another breakdown happens. And of course, with breakdowns, what happens in breakdowns? People, places, and things can come up in between there and create that wedge that you really don't want. And so, by communicating, even when you decide that you are growing, because you now peel back the layers of who you are, you want to grow more into, you know, this blossom, it's still wise, and you still have to communicate that. For me, I know with Dion, you know, we just talked about what men should know or what we expect them to know. For me, I was just like, I don't know if you know this or not, but let me just tell you what I like and what I don't like. I did that early on. And so it wasn't about, I'm expecting you to know what I haven't told you that I like. So no, I'm telling you what I like, and I'm telling you what I don't like. I'm telling you what I'm not going for. And so it was just a real conversation that we had. And I got that from him too. What he liked, what he don't like, what he expected, you know, so that way we didn't go into a relationship expecting the other to know something or do something for us that we hadn't verbalized yet. So Troy, you hit on this whole thing of, you know, getting together and you don't know the middle name and all this other stuff. However, my husband Dion and I, we met and married in 3.5 months.
Okay.
And we've been together for almost 21 years. However, I will say one thing that it took us a long time to learn each other. You know, during our marriage, we had to learn each other at that time. 3.5 months is not a long time to know everything you need to know about a person, right? You're still, no, you don't have to. However, we grew together. You know, he was 23, I was 20. And so we had to grow together. We grew up together, I like to say. We grew up together as, you know, as big kids, you know what I'm saying? We lived the life of having and just living how we wanted to live, you know, not riddled with a lot of responsibility and all, but just a responsibility to be truthful and honest to each other, and allow us to become. Say again?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Was he your friend?
Yeah. But here's the thing, I had only known him for 3.5 months, but the first time we met, oh my gosh, we sat and talked for like, I know, right?
When you said, is he your friend, the biggest smile came up on your face. I love that.
We talked for like 5 hours the first time we met. Like, we were both still in the military at that time. And so, you know, we had lights out within the barracks. You can't be in, you know, it can't be all this fraternization after a certain time. So when it was time for him to go, he had to pack up and go. He was actually on crutches with a cast on his foot. So he got on the crutches and he got going back to his room. But the next day, it was the same thing. Like, we were inseparable from the moment we met. And so, yes, we became instant friends, instant best friends. And still to this day, I was telling Kaisha that he could get on my nerves in the morning. And by the evening, I'm laughing at something silly that he's doing, because that's just the way we are. Like, I can't stay mad at him for long and forever. Like, we're friends. You have to be friends first. I think going into it is important to have that friendship. So yeah, we were friends.
That was the defining point that makes it different. So as an example, when I ask women this all the time, why do you still practice the friend zone? It's the worst trait you could possibly carry, because the person who should be in your life should be a person you call your friend.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. 3 months, it's not long, but realistically, because you were friends, that made a difference.
Yeah.
Right? Because that unspoken purpose formed. even before you gave it a name.
Yeah.
But it started out because you could laugh because he
Yes.
got you, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that's one of the things that we have to think about when we're practicing dating, right? Get rid of the friend zone, get to know the person. But if you are friends, like I'll use an example. One of the things you said, which I think is extremely important, was that you said, I like this and I don't like that. You ever notice that we don't really do that when we date? We only talk about what we don't like.
Mhm.
My
Mm.
ex, oh, she used to get on my nerves. She used to chew real loud. We talk about all the things that made us unhappy, but we think if we figure out what makes me happy. What is this? Where's Waldo? You know, it's not a game show. Why can't we just get to know each other? And our goal is I want to know what makes you laugh. And I'm not saying that just because I'm trying to get with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what is a line? He didn't practice that with like 5 other women.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask her, what kind of I hate roses. You like roses? Just trying to figure it out. Poor dating habits that we've learned from learned behavior. But if we can,
Yeah.
our goal is look, go out, let's hang out. Sorry, let's hang out before we go out. I want to make sure that we're fit because I want to laugh with you, not just now, but until I close my eyes. And even then, I want to still be laughing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. I'm excited that you are on the show this evening
I know.
because you
It's
are
already
giving
been an hour to me. Like, we gotta go, but
I
I
know.
talk to you.
I know. It feels like it's just so comfortable to talk to Troy. Like I told you, he is that kind of guy. He is that guy that is going to give it to you raw. He's going to tell you the truth. He's not going to sugarcoat it, and I appreciate that. Giving your honest opinion about what it is that we're talking about, and giving a man's perspective on it. You know, we can talk about it all day of how we feel, and we'll definitely say, look, he ain't no good, girl.
Yeah.
We'll quickly go into that judgment zone. Girl, you should have been left him. Like, what you still waiting on? Let him go, right? But having a man's perspective of you coming on and talking about, communication and talking about finding out who you are, peeling back those layers and knowing who you are before you join with someone else and call yourself in a union. Like all of this is great information, and we appreciate you coming on and giving a man's perspective on it. Oh my gosh! Like I'm excited. We may have to do a part 2 on this.
I know, right? A little series.
I know. A series with Troy Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get tired of us.
Look, listen, whatever you need, you just let me know.
Okay.
Thank you, Troy. We appreciate it. And Troy, do you have anything coming up? Like, are you have any events coming up? Or are you going to be speaking anywhere? What you got going on?
No, I just got that website up and running. I'm still working on getting my merchandise. I know that we're plotting a radio show, but we still have to do the rest of the content for that. Right now, I just tell people to look, just check out my website, insideoutevo.com. I post every Wednesday for motivational sayings. Typically, at the bottom of that picture, you'll see my blog for that information. I'm always open up for business. I call myself more of a relationship coach than just a life coach, because it's even relationship to yourself, right? So it's relation to you and everything else. Whether it's your job, your spouse, the other, to yourself, to your future. That's what I know. So anyone is interested in doing that, you can always reach me at insideoutevo@gmail.com. You can catch me on Facebook at Troyisms. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter. Feel free to look me up and connect with me. Like I said, I post every single Wednesday. And as we continue to move forward, we'll do more things like this. And when it's my turn, we're going to switch it around, and I'll invite you two ladies out to speak on my behalf.
Absolutely. We love that. We'd enjoy that. Absolutely. But again, so tonight we're not going to have a motivational word by Tamika, because I think anybody that's listening to tonight's session has been motivated enough to understand things that you need to do, things that you must do, and how you need to do it when you are either in a relationship or contemplating on being in a relationship. And we're not saying that you have to be in a relationship. We're saying that if you are going to be in one, know who the heck you are
Yes.
before you do, so that you don't run into nonsense that you could have prevented before. And to also be aware of red flags.
Mhm.
You know, there are red flags that you can tap into before you join someone and say, we're together. Like, if you have a question about anything, if you've ever doubted anything, ask a question. Don't go into it blindly. You have a mouth, you have a voice, use it, and use it for your best interests. You
Yes.
don't want to get into something that's no good for you, is all I'm saying. So I guess I did give a motivational word. I'm sorry, y'all.
It comes naturally from her. It comes naturally.
I know, right? But thank you all again for tuning in. Thank you so much, Troy. We have appreciated and enjoyed you so thoroughly in giving a man's perspective on relationships and just everything. We appreciate you, the relationship guru. Hello.
You are appreciated. Thank you so
Pleasure.
very much.
An absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Your wife is a very, very blessed woman to have you.
Thank you so much
That's
for saying
awesome.
that.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for engaging with us. And as well, as I said before, if you have any comments, if you have any questions, please post them in the comment section. We'll be sure to come back to them. If you have a question for Troy, we're going to tag him in them, and we're going to also put all of his information in the description so that you can follow him and also sign up for his newsletter on his blog. Follow him on his website. Read them every Wednesday. He drops it, y'all. I'm trying to tell y'all. He gives it to you real, and I love to read his stuff. So yes, follow Troy and be motivated. Be inspired to live your best relationship life that you can. And again, thank you all for tuning in. So, Kaisha, you want to wrap up and let them know how to make sure how you keep in contact with us as well.
Okay, so ladies, there you have it on relationships, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So what are your thoughts on tonight's episode? Do you agree with Mr. Carroll or not? So please, we would love for you to leave your comments on our page. Let's engage. Let's have a conversation. Let's have another conversation, you know. And if you want to know where you can find us, we are on Instagram at Pop Live Talk Show. Our Twitter handle is Pop Live Talk Show. That's SHO and the number 1. We have our YouTube channel up and running. That's A Pound of Perseverance. And of course, you can find us on Facebook at A Pound of Perseverance. So ladies, thank you so much for tuning in, and you have a fantastic night.
Good night.